What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day. If you are a Fallout fan or a fan of the Cold War bunkers, you're going to enjoy what I'm about to tell you. And if you do find it interesting, please hit the thumbs up button. I don't typically, if you go back and watch my videos, I don't really ask for a like or a sub or a share. I have a full-time career I'm very grateful for, and really don't have to chase, Fallout views or whatnot. I'm just doing this casually for fun. Gives me a creative output, as they say, something to do as a hobby. But I just recently visited the Greenbrier. If you saw one of my previous videos, and been researching it. And today or yesterday, because I've been editing for a solid day, uh, I found something interesting out I'm going to share with the whole community. But before I get started, I just want to say, if you're a professional YouTuber that's watching this, or a streamer, you guys are the heroes. We love and appreciate you. I know I love and appreciate you. After how frustrating this has been, I literally had to research this all day. I went to eat with my mom and came back home and researched it while watching basketball. Then I started editing. The first time I went to get the footage of the Greenbrier, it didn't record. The first time I shared this to YouTube, they kicked it right out. The fifth time I shared it, yeah, I woke up in the morning and they still hadn't posted it. It was still pending, no reason why. So we're at like episode 8 or something. So I have a new appreciation for you YouTubers and streamers. You guys are awesome. I don't understand how you guys are able to do this as awesome as you do it and still have a love for the game. You guys are the real heroes, and I just want to get that out there. But have you ever wondered who the real life vault-tec is? Have you ever wondered if some of the story is true? Well, it is. And there is a real life vault-tec, and I'm about to tell you who it is, because it's awesome. And I just hope that you're as excited as I am about this, because this is awesome. So I'm loading in to the actual entrance to the Greenbrier. The old white was on the other side. The new side, the bigger side, is where it was expanded with the vault, when they were building the bunker, so they can keep up the story. But this is how you would go in if you're part of the Congress. You would come up here and go through the door. But after seeing the planning and thought required to accomplish the Greenbrier bunker, I was sure that it was not the first one. It was just too much detail for it to be the Genesis. A lot of thought and effort and just planning went into it for it to be the first one. But if I made a bet in Vegas, I would have lost my money. So this is the Greenbrier bunker was one of the first ones. I don't know if it was exactly the first one. It was definitely in the group of the first ones. After researching it, you can't really tell because there's no dates given. Not even all the bunkers are listed for security reasons. I understand that completely. You don't want what you've previously done to be given, because you might see something in there that could be in the new one. I understand that. But anyways, it is definitely one of the first ones, and I think, and I'll get to this later, the genesis of the big bunkers. So this is the exact entrance to the Greenbrier bunker. Go up these steps. There's a wall, but most of the time that wall is open to hide the bunker door. And they hosted events down in the conference room. The conference room is huge. They call it a room. It's more like a football field. I mean, it is massive. And you walk right past the door. You don't even know, because you're probably not paying attention. But if you were looking at the architecture, you probably could see the seam of the door, if you really wanted to see it. But you're not really thinking that they're hiding a bunker upstairs. I mean, you walk up the steps. But anyways, um, I think that's one reason why I love Fallout, because I just love researching abandoned buildings, and more importantly, why are they abandoned? Even the famous Route 66 is now abandoned for a road literally built right beside it. Not because it was bad planning, just because that new road can handle more cars and traffic. A lot of Cold War structures are now abandoned and very impressive. A lot of them are viewable on YouTube. You can go, and I encourage you to YouTube them. They're a great watch, and it's just very interesting to see them with no filter, just as they were left. It's just like visiting them in Fallout virtually. Um, all the stuff is still there, posters on the wall, cups and pens and mugs and um, whatever. It's still there. All the equipment. It's just like they up and left. And so I just think it's so interesting. But as I said in my previous bunker tour review on the Greenbrier, I have so many questions. Every section you went into is like new section, more questions, no answers. New section, more questions, no answers. New section, you get it. So what I'm going to try to answer in this is um, who is the real life vault-tec? You won't believe it when I tell you. Why is it owned by CSX IP? Why are they storing communications in a bunker? Why can't we see communication equipment on a tour? Why is it locked under keycard access? And why even tell us it's there if it's a secret? I mean, you could have told us it's a cotton candy machine, or it makes the candy for the candy store. By the way, if you ever go to the Greenbrier, make sure you get you some chewy bars. They are awesome. Uh, Quite expensive, as everything in the Greenbrier is. It is quite expensive. My $7 bottle of water was the same as the one I got here. Oh man. Anyways, so why even tell us if it's a secret? It's kind of like your best friend. Like, I don't want to tell you, man. But then they go on and spend the next hour like walking around the bush. Like, just come out with it. But I get why they can't. But most of the Cold War bunkers were decommissioned and declassified. Air quotes on that, because if you ever read a declassified document, it's unreadable. But I'm sure that they could be operational very quick if need be. While taking the Greenbrier tour, I noticed that the generators were still running, and we couldn't see all the power equipment. Some of it was behind a locked door, but it was very noisy. The bunker tour guide even had a microphone just for that one section, and it's like, why would you need that? But after researching this, after the 9/11 attacks, it was rumored that VP Cheney went to Raven Rock, which still has very limited photos exist on the internet of it. Just a couple of the concrete doors, and it's like, gee, thanks guys. If you've seen one concrete door, you've probably seen all the concrete doors, unless this one's blue and that one is orange. And then that way, oh hey, thanks for the newish door. But anyways, I regress. And supposedly, there's one under the White House, even though it's been rumored and reported. Obviously they're not going to come out and say that it's factual, for security reasons, of course. But I'm also not buying the JFK presidential bunker in Florida. Was the only presidential bunker. I'm just not buying it. Sure, it wouldn't be called anything to give it away. It wouldn't be called the presidential bunker. It would not have a presidential seal. You wouldn't see Secret Service out in front of it. We are the United States, but it wouldn't be a tin can. I bet it would be nice, but not elaborate. It's just it doesn't fit. And I'll get to more of that here in a bit, but I just think that it's just one of it was built by the Kennedys since it's on their personal land in Florida, and it got titled the presidential bunker because JFK was the president and he would go there if need be. But while working from home, I've been streaming every episodes of Mystery of the Abandoned. If you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. It is so interesting. Before I continue, this room in here in the video, it looks like something out of the NASA, something at the shuttle launch or the Kennedy Space Center. And it's like, why would that be in a bunker? And so Bethesda actually nailed it, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But it doesn't seem like it fits. Now, for the video game, it kind of fits because of the cargo bots looking for the key cards and the nuclear silos and all of that. And they have this one room down here in the vault that has 4 Assaultrons, 2 Protectrons, and 2 Sentry bots. And it's like, why do you have so much security for that? But that's the secret I'm about to tell you. So I've been streaming that in Mysteries of Abandoned. Check it out, it's freaking awesome. Just because I've watched The Office like 10 times through now, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. I can't believe I said that. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I like my Office gifs, and I am not going to stop using them, I promise. They are awesome. But the JFK bunker didn't fit all the research I've done here recently. It doesn't, it's not the same fill, it's not the same size, it's not the same build, it's completely different. So I'm not buying that it's part of this. But today while I was working, I heard something that was very interesting. So once I finished my claim, I started researching, and it blew my mind. It answered all those questions that I had. Well, not all of my questions, because I'm an inquisitive person, so I'm sure I'll have more. I'm sure I was the annoying kid always asking why. I was absolutely annoying. Back then we only had the encyclopedias, so it wasn't easy as going to Google. I'm sure my mom would have just said, go to Google. See the coffee mugs? If you pull up a YouTube video, that's a real life thing. Artifacts. But anyways, we just had the encyclopedias back in, not Google. So regressing again. But in season 6, episode 5 of Mysteries of the Abandoned, it was talking about a Cold War bunker that was not for people, but for telecom equipment. Now, of course, they had people in it to operate it. In fact, the government had 3 different types of these bunkers. One for communication equipment, one for power equipment, and one for microwave equipment. And then each bunker was dedicated to only one of those. And all of that was to protect the Autovan network of telecoms, and which, if you don't know what Autovan means, it's automatic voice network, which was the military's telecom network at the time. It is now out of date due to fiber optics and been decommissioned, of course. But every bunker had a radio tower above it, so it could communicate with other radio towers and other bunkers. And that way, if there was an attack, only you wouldn't take down the system. But isn't that interesting? If only there was a video game that had radio towers everywhere and bunkers in the ground. Oh wait, we're playing it. Isn't that awesome? So the fact that Fallout has done all this research, I just have a new appreciation for them. In fact, we're getting ready to go into that room that I was talking about that's so heavily guarded. But anyways, the government at the time thought the mass public would be trying to use the phone so much if a nuclear attack did happen that we would just crash the system, and they wouldn't be able to communicate themselves because back then all the communications were hardline. They didn't have cell phones. But this room I'm talking about right here, it looks like the demo room from Fallout 4, Fahaba. You know, if you're from Boston, you gotta say it that way. Fahaba. But anyways, it's got computers and terminals and telecom equipment. It looks like the DEMA little things. But while this security in this one little room of the bunker, it makes no sense. You know, what are they protecting? But after learning this, it makes complete sense. Bethesda nailed it again. So the bunkers were in place just so we could communicate. They thought that the system would crash if a nuclear attack happened and they themselves couldn't communicate, and they would have to communicate. So they came up with this idea of having bunkers protect the telecom equipment so they could communicate. It's pretty interesting if you think about it. Very expensive, because now the system's pretty much out of date with cell phones. I'm sure they have something like it somewhere. I know they said the Greenbrier has the data. Maybe that's what they're storing at the Greenbrier. Who knows? But if you think about how the military attacks, it makes perfect sense. You take out the power and the fuel, and then the comms and the satellites, and then the defenses were easy since they were blind. And that's the exact way that we attacked the Japanese after Pearl Harbor. Exact way. But getting back to that, I think now that's why the Greenbrier has telecoms in it. Even though the Greenbrier is a decommissioned bunker, and most of the bunkers are decommissioned, it's still one of the most secure sites because how it was designed. Because it was designed to go into the hill, and like I was showing you at the beginning of this, you had to go up steps to get into the bunker, which is technically underground, and it makes no mental sense to you. And that was all designed on purpose to be built into a hill. And they couldn't take a direct blast, but if it hit within, I think they said 5 miles, it would sustain. And a lot of these bunkers, I don't know if they're Greenbrier, I didn't get to see it because you don't get to see a lot of the Greenbrier, but a lot of the telecom bunkers had shocks built into it, so that way if a blast did happen, the shocks absorbed it like a car, and the telecoms were protected. Even though the bunker itself may not be, some of the bunker might have been destroyed, the actual telecom equipment was protected. And that's also why I think the 3 best bunkers were built into the hills: the Greenbrier, the Raven Rock, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. And if you haven't seen the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, please Google it. It's awesome. You won't have much luck with Raven Rock, but it's just crazy how the Greenbrier, like I said, you go up the steps to go down. When you go up the steps, you're underground, and that's why I think it's the genesis for the big bunkers, because most of the big bunkers after the Greenbrier got bigger and better, and you can see a progression with those. And the majority of the telecom bunkers were small, to protect the telecom, small and mini. So they had like 200 of them. The Department of Defense built one of these bunkers every 100 miles or so. So one in every state, at least every 100 miles. And it's crazy, if you think about it, like you're building all of these. So who did the military get to build these bunkers? Who was the real life vault-tec? I'll give you a second to take a guess. Alright, go. If you guessed AT&T, you are correct. That's right. AT&T is the real life vault-tec. They were responsible for most of the vaults in America at the time, the telecom bunkers. There was only 5 people in each vault. and their main objective was not to survive, but to keep the equipment running. In fact, that living in those vaults would have just been bare essentials. Uh, Even the food was measured out to the number of calories to stay alive per day, which is 700 calories. I think we eat 2,000 calories per day. You know, filet mignon and lobster and shrimp. They weren't eating that. Um, they were surviving the nuclear winter on SpaghettiOs and pork and beans and no cookies. I mean, could you imagine no cookies? Uh, but it's crazy. AT&T. I would never have thought it. Uh, the Greenbrier, though, has comms now, like I was saying, on the second floor. You can't see it on the tour. It's completely locked down by key card. Um, but I think that's part of the security because it's, even though it's decommissioned, like I said, the power generators are still running, and blast happens in the foothills of Virginia, West Virginia. You know, the hill's going to take most of the blast, and so they don't really have to have a lot of turrets or protection or guard posts or things like that. Um, the way they built it is the protection. So, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Very limited staff, enough food to survive. That's exactly the playbook. So they're just using what AT&T did. But it's hard to believe AT&T was an inspiration for the video game series. Clearly, vault-tec research, their experiments and studies, that all that was fictional, and it just goes to show you the creativity of the game studio. Also goes to show you the amount of research they've put into this. You know, you think, oh man, it'd be cool to have a video game that where you have to survive a nuclear winter, and it's easy to think up, you know, coming out of a vault, but most of it was true. We really thought we were going to be attacked, and America's main goal was not to protect us. You know, we didn't have a lot of bunkers for the everyday citizen. There was fallout shelters, but those were like the Pospiluski containment things, and Fallout 4 you wouldn't survive if there was a direct hit. There certainly wouldn't be enough food and water to survive. It was just on face they said they could do it, but that's one thing that I love about the game, and this room right here now makes sense. It's AT&T. So Bethesda took real life and just changed it just a little bit to make it the great series. You know, it's one thing I've always loved about Fallout is the history elements. Certainly World War III never happened, but all the history that's in the game is impressive. From Boston to DC to West Virginia to Las Vegas to the Freedom Trail to the bridge jumping skeleton to the Greenbrier, and of course the legend of Mothman. It's all accurate, and you start to think, oh man, they just had an idea and ran with it, but there's a lot of truth to it, and it's just awesome. So AT&T, real life vault-tec, never would have thought it, but it fits. I live here in Virginia, 3 hours from DC, an hour from the Greenbrier. Grew up here my whole life. A lot of history. So take me home, country roads, as the song says. Nailed it again. But the last question that I haven't answered is the CSX. So why the CSX? If you're wondering why CSX, the railroad company, owns the CSX IP, you're certainly not alone. I've been wondering that since they told me that on the tour. Unfortunately, I've not really been able to figure that out, the exact reason. I've Googled it. I went to like page 10 on the more results and still haven't found anything. My guess is that since they own some of the transportation space, as they say now, they could also get into computers if nuclear war happened. You already own the transportation. It would be easy for them to um, transport things since they are the railroad. They have all the rail lines. They wouldn't need power to run the trains. They would just need coal, and we got plenty of that here in West Virginia and Virginia. Not as much as we used to, uh, but there's no exact answer. But I think that is the answer. You know, if nuclear war was to happen, CSX would be prepared. They would have the trains. The only thing they didn't have is the food, but you really wouldn't have to worry about food because food would just be a shortage for everybody. Uh, that's just how it would be. But one thing I did uncover while researching CSX is some of their subsidiaries. They own CSX intermodal terminals. Now, my dad and granddad, most of my family work for the railroad. So there are train terminals that have nothing to do with data security. Um, but after learning this, maybe the terminals are for data security. They also own the Chessie Computer Services. If you didn't know, Chessie is actually the C in CSX. So they own computer services. They own cybernetics and services. And that all is just very interesting to me. Um, it's just a railroad that owns that. So I hope you learned something interesting. Besides the fact that AT&T is a real life vault-tec, and I hope you're as excited about it as I am. Like I thought that was just awesome. We keep going down the rabbit hole, as they say, and research it. I want to research more into CSX and some other things I haven't mentioned. I want to possibly make another video, but um, I just don't have. I have some more questions. I'll just leave it at that. I have some more questions, and I think most of us have those same questions. If you're watching this, it's just very logical to go to that point, and so I'm going to research it a little bit. That's what I do by trade. So we're going to just do it for some fun and see what comes out. But from learning all of this, I don't understand why AT&T. The only reason that why they wouldn't do it is because they're still doing it, but why they're not branding it. If they were to brand it, they would have the whole Fallout community, behind them. We all love the lore. We all stop to listen to holotapes and read computer terminals, and it's because we like the lore. And I think AT&T needs to strike while the iron's hot, as they say, and brand it. The only reason to me why they wouldn't brand it is if they're still doing it, and maybe they are. If you did it once, you could do it again, type deal. But so if someone from AT&T is watching this, maybe you get a vault-tec phone, get some of those Fallout fans. We certainly will spend some money. I mean, we pay $5 for a freaking fountain in a virtual video game, so we'll definitely spend $5 on a phone. Just saying. But anyways, but I hope you found something interesting. Thank you for taking the time to watch this vid, and I certainly hope you guys have a great Memorial Day. See ya.
minus 57 degrees. Tonight, more cloud cover with a low of 30.